How are we all doing today? All right, I've got everything set up here, I think, quite nicely. Cool, so we're going to do some fun stuff today. If we all haven't met before, my name's Mark Mandel. I do developer advocacy stuff for Google Cloud when it comes to gaming. I have a cup of tea, and that is most important, really. I also have all these pretty lights. I'm very excited about my star in the background. That's new. Okay, so what are we playing with today? I just want to make sure I have my phone here in case I need to go do something important or something urgent. All right, so cool. I work on open source tools for gaming, if we haven't hung up with before. And I work on a project called Agones. Let's, where are we? Oh, and apparently, I don't have a browser window open. Bear with me 1 second. That did not work. Can I please have... Oh, I know why. Bear with me. Aha! All right. I'll set that to 5. Cool. All right, fantastic. All right, never mind. I just need to get things sorted. So yeah, I work on a project called Agones. It's a project for running game servers on top of another open source project called Kubernetes. I'm willing to bet that many of the people who are here may necessarily have heard of this before. And I am working on something fun. So let's pop over to our working window. So for those of you who are probably familiar, Kubernetes has this neat thing called custom resources, which enable you to extend what Kubernetes understands and how it works, which are awesome. And they're super, super powerful and great to use. And they've gone through a few different versions. Actually, where's a good example? Actually, I know there's a good example down here. And they've changed over time. Oh, that's not good. Where's the... I know it's in here somewhere. No. Custom race and definition? Is this one? Yay! That's the one. Okay, beautiful. Now, there's actually a good example here. Where we get scrolls all the way to the bottom of the jar. Come on. No, you don't have it anymore. Oh, never mind. So Kubernetes versions. Here we go, actually. Let me pop over here. So I'm going to get rid of these, actually. Start back at the beginning. So you'll see here, give me a fleet ammo. So we defined how a fleet should look inside, say, a game server, for example. And a few things have changed. So if I get... branch, we look at master, so we look at what was there previously, you'll notice that this used to be v1 beta 1, and there's a lot less stuff here on the left, right? You can see that, and that's because that's what we used before v1 beta 1, and v1 beta 1 was actually kind of nice, or at least a bit more flexible, let's put it that way, wherein it would allow you to store pretty much any data. You could validate stuff, but if you added data that wasn't validated, then it would just get added to the system as you would put more stuff in. And that was actually really cool, and we used to take advantage of that a lot. What's the word I'm looking for? But in V1, that's kind of changed. There are ways in which you can set it. There's a flag you can set so that if you want to have it be able to take any fields, you can. I tried it, I think, through some issue between keyboard and chair, which would be me. I had some issues with it for whatever reason. But I sort of figured, you know what, let's take the plunge. And then in V1, basically what happens is unless you set this particular flag to enabled, if a particular property that you are setting for a particular custom resource definition isn't supplied in this schema, then it gets removed. They call it pruning. Which I actually think is really good. That means you have to be very specific about your stuff, and there's a bunch of other benefits we can take advantage of down the line, like defaulting and all that kind of good stuff. But it does mean we have to be explicit with everything. And so what I'm doing now is going through all the custom resource definitions we have. I've done game server, but I think we should actually have a look at it again and make sure everything works as expected. Now, I'll let you in on another really cute trick that I just did that I've been playing with a bunch recently. See this window I'm looking at here? It might look a little bit fuzzy. There's a good reason for that. This window is actually running on my machine that's on my desktop in our office, in our Google Office. So I'm using a piece of software at the moment called Expra. What I wanted to do was basically offload a lot of the building, and the same thing for this terminal too. I wanted to offload a lot of the work in the building of like my binaries and that kind of stuff to a whole other machine. I find that if I do my builds on the same machine that what's what I'm looking for? I'm streaming on. Things tend to like flake, and it's no fun, and that's not good. So all of why this looks a little bit weird is because it's actually running on a nice machine over there. And if I actually have a look, you can see it's got like lots of CPUs and lots of cores and lots of other good stuff running. And it does not impact this machine at all, except some bandwidth. That KCA, the pruning validation is going to be amazing. Yeah, and it really is. It's actually really, really nice. So if we have a look here, where are we? So game server YAML. This is all Helm templating that I'm using. Right, a lot of this is pretty much the same. And we have a whole game. This game server is the big complicated one. Come on, open. What are you doing? Why are you not opening? Thank you. Where do I have it open? No. Thank you. All right, there we go. This is the big, long, complicated one where we have lots of different things. We do, we pull in the pod spec. So this template here, I'm allowing everything. That's what this does. In this particular section, you mean like this particular section will allow anything, because this allows a bunch of different stuff that this is all, the whole entire pod spec, which we don't have at hand. There is some neat validation stuff that I need to play with that does exist for being like, hey, you can embed this particular type in here, but I haven't tried it yet. That's on the list along with some defaulting stuff. Really what I'm trying to do is what I would like to get done today, or at least play with more today, is while I've started on this, I've got game server working, that seems to be working anyway. I've run our end-to-end tests. They all look pretty good. I want to see if I can get fleet and game server set working today, and then we'll continue on from there. So I'm actually gonna close everything. Let's just open the particular ones that we need. So CRDs, game server set, fleet. Just if you ever looked at how Kubernetes works, usually you have a deployment. Under a deployment, you have a replica set. The replica set creates the pods. We do very similar things. We have fleets, and they create game server sets, which then creates our game servers. So they're all working hand in hand. I've done a couple of interesting things I found in here actually. So you have your schema, right? Here you have a spec property, and we define all of that, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. Here's an interesting thing. If you there's several properties inside Kubernetes that are either an int or a string, and that's kind of from the documentation. That's how it gets set. Haven't actually tried it yet. We'll see how that goes. The thing that threw me for a loop was to enable the status sub-resource, you do this, but to define the status structure, from what I understand, anyway, I still haven't tried it, you put it up here. My first thought was, oh, I'll just put the reference here of the spec here, but that's not actually, apparently that's not actually the case, from what I understand. I believe, which would sort of make sense because it sits under, this thingy here, this Open API v3 schema object, right? That sort of makes a certain amount of sense. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So I did all this work. I did it last night while I was sitting in front of the TV as I'm looking at different stuff. I think everything lines up the way it should. Let's try it and see. So actually, I should have done this in the background, but let's actually make gcloud. Let's auth docker it, and then let's pop over here. And ooh, bear with me one sec. I just realized one thing. I have a strong feeling that if I try and pull down, it's going to complain. It is. One weird thing I have found, oops, I keep doing that, with running Expra, is that it seems to lose my SSH keys, but if I restart tmux, there we go. Yeah, see, now it's fine. Okay, good. Let's make sure it's installed. Get that happening. Start up my my Kubernetes shell as I like it, and just see what's going on there. There's my wife sneezing in the background. Cool. Yeah. Cool, that's running. Yeah, see, it doesn't touch my CPU. It's so nice. And it's also a lot faster. That machine's got a lot more cores. So I think I have... before when I was building, like I would just not be able to touch my machine. And now I have a whole other machine doing all this work. It's so lovely. It makes me so happy. Okay, so that's, yeah, and see, that's already built and it's pushing up. And, okay, version 10. We're pushing 1.11 dev. Cool. Here's hoping everything installs the way it should do. Okay, that's great. Yeah, let's flip that around. It's a little bit easier to read, right? Okay. What are we going to do? Let's manually install a fleet and just see what happens. I think that's probably the easiest. We do have a whole suite of end-to-end tests. We have a simple game server. Yeah, let's do that. Actually, let's have a look at that. Examples, simple game server, fleet.yaml. Okay, so where are we? We've got a couple of replicas. We've got some resource requirements. Cool. So we do want to see that those resources go through and everything runs. And we should have 2 game servers up and running, at least in theory. And maybe we'll play with it a bit and make sure everything seems to work reasonably well. All right. kubectl. Examples. What was it? Simple game server fleet.yaml. All right. Created. Good first start. kubectl. Simple game server. Nice. Okay, so we're seeing the stuff we're supposed to be seeing. We have these additional printer columns. So if you haven't played with those, actually, these are kind of cool. So you can specify additional printer columns in your custom resource definition template here that pushes out extra information about it, and you see it in that kind of list view, which is really nice. So that all seems to be working quite nicely. And that actually tells me a couple of things. One of which is my additional printer columns are working properly. Also that my status values are being appropriately populated, which means they're coming in through here as well, that's good. That's actually really good. You can also see that 2 game servers are ready. Let's just have a look at that. And they are still working according to plan. They all look pretty good. What will I check? So let's pop that up a little bit bigger. kubectl describe fleet, whatever the name of the fleet is. Okay, let's just have a quick peek here, make sure everything's coming through. All the containers values are here. That's good. That's coming through as it should do. We actually use Helm template on a lot, so we include that whole game server specification. So that works out quite nicely. Those are default values there. Rolling update, nice. Status, allocated replicas, yada yada yada. That all looks pretty good. What I'll have a look at though, get game server set. Let's have a look at that. That's all looking pretty good too. Let's have a look at that. That's all flowing through. Actually, what we make sure, let's describe one of these. Make sure everything goes all the way through. Gotta love it when stuff works when you're in front of people. We still have a few more things to play with though. Just make sure everything is working according to plan. Okay, that's all looking good. I'm also seeing the spec on the containers. Beautiful. kubectl describe. Let's try the pod. Nope, wrong word. Pod, simple game server. What was it? 4? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that's all looking good. Where are our containers? We have some limits. Beautiful. That's okay. So that's all flowing all the way through really nicely. Let's scale the fleet. All right, kubectl scale fleet. Let's say replicas 10 for argument's sake. Make sure that's working according to plan. kubectl gets Jess. I see those. That's looking good. Here comes my dog. I don't know what she's doing. She may pop in at some point. Should be fun. Okay, so that's looking pretty good so far. Not seeing any huge issues there. Let's allocate. Let's make sure allocation is working according to plan. Actually, nope. Create examples, simple game server allocation, and then spit out some values at the end. All right, that's all working. Now this is actually interesting. That takes a whole other different path, how we extend that with our allocation system, but we're going to deal with that later. So far, so good. Yeah, give me a couple allocated. What I want to see as well is kubectl get fleet. We should see 2 are allocated, and we do. All right, so far, this is actually looking really good. Does your stream follow the remote working pets rule? We hear the pet, we get to see the pet. That is reasonable. My camera is set up so you can't see her from this angle, but that is a valid rule. She hasn't barked yet, I think is the rule. If she shows up, if she barks at some point. If you wish to see the dog completely separate from our stream, you can go to Suki Tweets if you want to see that. Also, if you follow me on Twitter at Neurotic, that fleet thing, I'm pretty sure is just dog stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty much the only thing that I use it for. So yeah, if you need pictures of my dog, that can definitely be arranged. And you can follow her on the internet. Okay. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Was there anything else I wanted to try out real quick? Let's scale it down, I guess. kubectl fleet simple game server replicas equals. Let's just make it 0 for argument's sake. Cool, they're all set down. Scribe GS, not GS. Sorry. That actually has. Actually, yeah, it's perfect. Okay. Yep. Now we're already down to 2. I was going to see that. I know that GFset actually counts shutdown replicas. But yeah, you can see all the events. Nice. This is good. This is all working reasonably well. I actually thought there'd be more work here and things would be broken. Is that good or bad? Depends on how you look at it, I suppose. All right, let's have a look-see. There's probably some more we can do here. There's absolutely some more we can do here. All right, so kubectl. Let's just delete the GSs. Actually, we're going to delete that fleet. Let's delete the fleet. Just fry the whole thing. Now, okay. Game server allocation policy, that's a whole other thing. Fleet autoscaler, we still haven't touched yet either. I want to confirm on both of those, but that's one problem at a time. Let's go into some of our end-to-end tests, make sure they're working the way we expect them to. Tests, end-to-end, fleet tests, beautiful. Are there other tests? No, just fleet. All right, let's run one of these. Okay, so here's one weird thing about Expra that I have noticed before. Sometimes the windows show up in the wrong places. Usually then I just need to force a refresh of the window and then it's fine. Oop, see? I don't know why. All right, so let's just try. We're going to try one of the tests and then, you know what? We're just going to run all of them. How many tests are there in here? There are a bunch. Not too many though. Some rolling update stuff. But we'll start with like the first one. See how that goes. Okay, that's testing, that's passing, that looks good. All right, you know what? Let's run the whole thing. Just run the whole thing. Ooh, something failed already. How'd that fail fast? Ooh, ooh, ooh. That blew up good. All right, what's going on there? All right, see, good stuff to play with. All right, let's run that again. Okay, so that definitely fails and it fails hard. So let's pull that up. Expected value to not be nil. Interesting. So what actually are we doing here? This is a good question. Pull that down a little again. All right, so here, not nil T error. We create a fleet. So hold on. We got an error, but we can't see it because actually we're using the wrong assertion type here. So let's change that first. Not error. Error. Now? No error. Sorry, my bad. Do we have that anywhere else in here? Just to, let's fix that all up. Assert.t. If it's nil. I think that's actually what I want. I want it to be an error. Wait. Assert nil? Take that back. Not nil. Oh, that should be an error. Okay, that there should be an error. That's what it's saying. It's what I understand it. I think. That should be an error. That should be not nil. That should be an error. You know what? I'm going to put this back the way it was. I'm trying to understand what's going on. Git. Let's just roll that back. Roll that back. Okay, so here. Expected value not to be nil at 1023. But it was nil. Okay. So what we're actually saying is we expected this to be an error real quick. So let's just run that real fast. I just want to run that. And error expected but got nil. Okay, so it's just a better error message all around. Okay. I'm just gonna not nil. Is there any more not nils? Okay, that should be an error. Nil. Oh, sorry, nil should be, yeah. See, this is why this is actually a really annoying wave. Okay, so what's the problem? All right. Max length value. Oh, it's not validating. How very strange. Labeled value max length. Now, where is that validation supposed to occur? Is an interesting question. Okay. That's actually a really good question. Test fleet with long labels. All right, so here, boom. We're trying to create one. Does this label get used anywhere outside of Agones v1? What do we got here? Validate name. Check name size of a CRD. That's in Agones v1. Okay, and does that get used somewhere? Fleet validate. Validate name F. The length of kind name should be there. Okay, got it. All right, well, let's have a look. Let's have a look at fleet.yaml install CRDs. Yeah. The other thing we can look at, I'm trying to work out where this actually came from. So let's have a look. We do have a pretty common strategy here where a lot of, actually no, I'm gonna, hold on. So what are we testing? I just want to make sure I've got it right. So labels, long labels and annotations. So basically, okay, so we're creating a label with a really long one. All right. And then we add, okay, so we got the max length and then we add one. All right, yep. And so the fleet should be like, no. Now here's the interesting question. What's that actual value? That's actually a really good question. 63, right? Like this, okay, yep. And it's part of API machinery and we're all good. All right. This is not one I thought would actually fail. This is an interesting one. Okay, so who does this validation? So you know what's going to be interesting? QCTL delete namespace. All right. The thing I think I want to see is what actually happens here. Does it let it do it? I just want to see that they just got a different name at the end. Right? We're doing a repeat of f up into the max value, and then we're going to put a p on the end, so we're going to see how long it is, right? String. Wait a minute. Shouldn't this be a check to see if the name is too long, not that the value is too long? How did this fail in the first place? Not nil. It must have not nil for, unless, hold on. Unless. Okay, so fleet, we create a very long value for a label. Expected labels, and then we add an annotation with a long name, and then could it be that labels are allowed to be that long now? Let's have a look. Okay, sorry, here. Kubernetes label length. And selectors, yeah, exactly. Key value page objects, yada. Syntax and character sheet, label selectors. I know that, here we go, syntax. Labels are key value pairs. Valid label keys, yada. It must be 63 characters or less. Okay. If prefix not longer than hold on. Let me understand that. Valid label keys are set to two segments. An optional prefix and name separated by a slash. Okay, so we do that. The name segment is required. It must be 63 characters or less, beginning or ending with an alphanumeric character. That's just underscores not between. The prefix is optional. If specified, the prefix must be a DNS subdomain, a series of DNS labels not longer than 250 characters total, followed by a slash. Oh my god. All right. Yada. Kubernetes and prefixes are core components. The valid label values must be 63 characters or less. Okay. So valid label values. Okay, so we are testing for making sure they're 63 variables or less. And We're doing it on the tablet. Okay, so my question is, I'm actually genuinely wondering if the object metadata on the game server template exists. And I have a strong feeling it does not. Template does not have object meta. In fact, it doesn't. I know it doesn't. Go thing. So, well, I know it doesn't. Okay, so I'm willing to bet. Okay, so actually, you know what? Let's confirm this, but I'm feeling pretty strongly about it. Time.sleep. Say time.minutes. Do I have a logger in here? I actually haven't not been writing Go for a while. I'm trying to remember how I usually log stuff. Format.log. Now log. I know there's a log thingy. Oh my god, I've forgotten how to do Go. This is very funny. No, I wanna log. Yeah, log dot. Or do I have just a logres? Yeah, that works too. Info sleep. Yeah, you can see I've not been writing Go for a little while. All right, I'm gonna do this, and I think why I'm doing this will become clear in just a second. So I'm gonna do that. All right, sweet, it's sleeping. So if I pop over here, kubectl, Agones, oops. Just let me see that. All right, kubectl. Get fleet stash n1. Let's have a look. There it is. Okay. Let me just describe it. Yep, there's the data. There's the template. There's metadata. There's a creation timestamp. No, interesting. Whole other thing. Wonder why that's there. Okay, so that explains that, right? So there's no spec for game server, this template, which we have here, that enables all that metadata to come through. I'm gonna bear with me one sec. So let that play out in the background. Customers with digital full printing, virtual versions, final defaulting, sub resources. Okay. I thought I was actually going to dig into this a little bit more. But now I'm sort of thinking, excuse me. So the value hasn't come through. Where was the validation happening anyway? Validation, structural schemas. I feel like there was something about raw extension. Here we go. Raw extension defined holds complete Kubernetes objects, API versions, and kind fields. That seems like a lot. Yeah, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay. Is the resource true? The API version, kind, and metadata are implicitly specified and validated. Ooh, fancy. Yeah, that's not what we really want. Okay, the other thing I want to check is if I go into fleets, not that one, APIs, Agones v1, fleet. All right, validate, perfect. Who's validating game server spec? There we go. Right, so there's all this validation in here. All right, validate labels. Oh, I see, and we're doing all this stuff in here. Oh, fun. Label names. Oh, wow. Nice. Okay. So one thing I was actually trying to work out most recently was if I could remove a lot of these webhooks. That's what we're looking at there, is like validating webhook stuff. And looking at this, I actually don't know if that's true. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work. I was gonna try and pull some of this out of these webhook stuff, but one problem at a time. So what I'm hearing is that I need the template metadata objects, which totally makes sense. Because if I go into fleet, right, let's have a look. So we're looking at this object, for example, right? A fleet has a template, which is a game server template spec, which takes an object metadata, right? And it's not specified in any of my stuff. So we need to make sure it's there, because if it's not, then that's bad. Now, here's an interesting one. We have an include. So here, for example, template include game server schema, which we reuse. And game server set probably has a very similar thing. Yep, game server schema. And then game server uses the same thing, game server schema, which is that whole schema we were looking at previously. Right here, right? Like here's the whole thing here. I'm just gonna drop that, make that smaller. All right. Let me know if this text is too small. Should be fine actually. But it has this whole type object required spec. I just realized something fun. If we want to do metadata, we need to do it here, I think. Schema, yep, because that's going to have properties of type spec. And then if I look at, say, a fleet template, yeah, or I need to lift some of this out. Can I? So I think there's two options. One, some of this is going to need to be, like this here might need to be pulled out. Fine, we could drop that into separate places. I don't think that's a huge problem. The other one I'm wondering is if we can pass in a variable to define whether or not it will add the metadata section or not, which we'll need in some places. Let's have a look. So if I come over to here, say home includes, let's see what we can do here. Name templates, perfect. This is exactly what we want. All right. Okay, others. Name templates from a partial subtemplate is simply a template defined inside of a file given a name. Okay, cool. In the flow control section, we introduce 3 actions for declaring and managing templates. Define template, yada, yada, yada. Formulating templates. Template names are global, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Declaring and use, okay, so we should declare it, and then we use it. We can now embed it. Awesome. Define functions should have a single documentation block showing what they do. Lovely. Templates are global. Scope of the templates. All right. We do not use any objects. We just use functions. Modify function, chart name, and chart version. No scope was passed in. So within the template, we cannot access anything in ... Okay. But what I don't think in our stuff here, yeah, it's all static. So that's fine. What's going on here? All right, so that makes like 63 and some patents. Okay. Right. Okay. Right, we're not passing in any values, but what I'm actually saying is we should. Let me pass dot at the end of the template call, the values or value favorites, or whatever scope we want. Or the top level scope. Label section of the template. Okay. Apple not selected. This is not very useful. Now reproduce YAML is correctly indented for a section. Okay, yes. That's not telling me what I want to know. Helm pass values to include. There we go. Yes. How do I do that? So the second parameter includes floor using tuple or dict to send ad hoc values to include. That's really good. Okay. I'm okay with that. Values. Okay, pass. Nope. That's a good trick. So, all right, so all right, I have an idea. Okay, so I think what we can do here is we can do like an if section, and I'm just actually going to copy some if statements here. Bloop, thank you. If values dot metadata. That's how you do end of ifs, right? Yes. All right, good. No. Yes, that's fine. Helm default variables. Yeah, that's a whole thing, right? I know I can do it. There's like a default function. Yeah, perfect. Defaults false. So that shouldn't. Actually, double check that. Gen install. So gen install will just do a big. I'll take all the templates and spit out like one big YAML file. Okay, so that's not complaining. Let's actually have a look. This is how I do a lot of my testing, which is quite nice because IntelliJ does have the ability to validate all of this. We'll ignore down the bottom because that's more beta stuff. Okay, so that's all looking pretty good. What is that? A game server set, for example, schema, template, type object required. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so if I want here properties, we will want metadata, type object. Where are we? Properties, labels, type objects. I don't think I can do anything here other than specify this. Sorry, bear with me. That should be annotations. Assume I spelled that right. Is there any way I can... No, because I was going to try... Oh, here comes the dog. Did you want to come inside? Come on, you come inside. Come on. Don't know if she's going to show up. Hey, you can come in. It's okay. She's staring at me from outside the door. Here she comes. Don't think I can specify anything about map values, for example, or field proving, yes, that's all that kind of stuff, which is fine. Those are fields into a string, raw extension, whatever. multiple versions, finalizers. Properties, cron spec, image, replicas. I think this is where you end up in a validating. You end up in a validating webhook, which I think is fine. Type fields. Here we go. Number, fluent, date. Yeah. See, like so you have data types in the Open API spec that. Primitive data types, but then you have like array and whatnot. Type of array. That's a thing. Can you do type map? I don't think that's a thing, is it? No. Custom resource definition. Map key validation, something like that. Here we go. Let's see what we learn. Chasing scheme is going to pattern properties, which we allow now. Pattern properties is just like properties, but allows you to schedule regex the keys. There's a key signature. Ooh. Pattern property shows the author is somewhat aware and is line blurry here. Let's have a look. So here, labels and selectors, pattern properties. This does not seem to be defined. Oh, that's just hilarious. All right. Map string. I might not worry about this. Meh. Yeah, that's an old one. Huh. All right, I think the short answer, oh, that's labels and selectors. That's actually not what I want. Where'd the thing go? Extend, here we go. What was it? Pattern properties. Oh. These fields cannot be set. Okay, so I can't use pattern properties. Okay, the issue says that I can, but I actually can't. All right, additional properties. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff here. All right, so I'm going to assume that I can't set key values, or I can't restrict key values, or any of that kind of stuff. I think that's not a thing I can do, at least through this tooling, which means that I'm just going to have to say, you know, you can push whatever you want in here, and then we will check it later using our own webhooks. Okay, so that sounds good. Now I just need to work out how to do this particular bit, this bit here, on how to specify this. Let's just double check my phone. Oh, my package was delivered. Yeah, and my wife just said she got it. Oh, let me respond to this real fast. I just need to, there we go, cut that. Bear with me. I have a meeting in half an hour that, paste. Let me do it. It won't let me. Because it sucks. All right, then I'm not going to worry about it. All right, that's boring. Okay, so how do I set this values.metadata? Because what I want to do, so we want it here in Fleet. We're doing this include here. We saw it, pass values. All right, how do we do this? All right, let's have a look. Dict. Just going to copy this for now. We're learning things. All right, dict values. And then how did you pass that through? Data. All right. Yeah, include data, and then we do an indent. Okay. Values extra foo. All right, let's have a look at Helm dict function. Template function list. Awesome, good start. Dict. Dictionaries, all right, also seems like a good thing. Create dictionaries is done by calling the dict function and passing it a list of pairs. Cool. Bleh. So data equals dict values dot values dot, what? Oh, that's all the values that currently exist plus extras. I'm with it. I'm with it. I don't actually care about that. All right. So what I'm hearing is I can do metadata. Let's just say true. Maybe filter and go there. Yeah, it does that. Sorry, that's when I ask it to format it. It always does that, and I don't like it. I should actually turn that off by default. What did you change? Don't know. Status. Okay, got it. All right, so in theory, I passed through metadata, dict metadata true. It came through here. So in theory, let's just do a, whoops, I always do that. Yeah, let's do a gen install so we can actually see what it's outputting. It's actually, I actually like this. So this gen install does a, you'll see it here. There's Helm template, passes in a bunch of values, and whoop, does not like me. Data, error correlating, include, template, yada, yada. Oh, values dot metadata, nil pointer. Okay, so there's no values. I don't know what my dog's doing. You can hear it pottering around. So if I, in theory, if I just go metadata, I think that's actually going to work. What are you doing, doggo? She's like, why is my dad talking to himself? I don't know. He's a weirdo. Okay, so that generated. Awesome. All right. I'm going to need to do the same thing for game server set, but what I can do is look at my install YAML. Just look for fleets. Here we go. My wife is trying to convince the dog to come get me. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Strategy, bunch of stuff. Template. There's nothing in there. Why? That's annoying. Okay, hold on. Let's have a look. But when I looked at game servers.agones.dev, right? Schema type spec. There's no space. But here, there's a space. Oh, I wonder if the if statement shouldn't have the, oh god, go templating. How does it even work? All right, let's have a look here. No, so the if has the minus sign next to it. And that looks right. If metadata default false. Fleet. It does. Oh, we do have that line with the include first, and maybe that's creating that space. In fact, I think that is it. Dict metadata true. All right, so let's run that again. I think I was thinking the space was maybe coming from that if statement, but I actually think that that's wrong. Let me just respond to this. Sweet. All right, let's have a look. See. Now if I pop into install YAML, fleet.agones, fleets. There we go. Okay, schema type object. Where's my template? Templates back. Template. Okay, so the spacing's gone. Oh, metadata. Oh yeah! All right. Awesome. Awesome. Fun. Okay. It's gonna be hilarious. All right, so I need to do the same thing in game server set. You have an 18. Get rid of that. Alrighty, let's run that again. Let's come in together. Cool. How am I doing? I have a meeting in 20 minutes. All right, perfect. All right. Awesome. Cool. It's all right. Bam. Cool. All right. Planning a secret Santa thing with some friends, some online friends. All right. I want to double check that this is all looking like it should be working. Cool. That looks good. Game server sets. I've got one too many. Here we go. Game server shut. Beautiful. And I see metadata here. Badass. All right. Fleet test. Do we want to just like try it? See if it fails. Let's go to that. All right, let's just run it. Let's see what happens. Live on the edge. Running fails completely. Error expected, but got nil. Oh, you know why? I didn't install anything that I actually just did. Alrighty. So I'll tell you what. Before we do that, let's get a -a, git commit, first pass at adding metadata to game server templates. Sounds good. We'll even push that up. All right. This command here, just so you know, if you're at all interested, actually, let's just make sure also that I have my authentication. Builds the whole thing inside a Docker container, builds all the images I want, and then pushes them up once I'm done. All right. And this is so nice. Actually having this all running, like just so you're like, I said it before at the beginning, this terminal here is running on my computer in the office in San Francisco, whereas I'm here in my house in San Francisco. Like this whole window is running on there. This whole window is running here. Like this instance of IntelliJ is not running on my machine. It's running over on the other machine using Xpro, but it's treated like it's a native window, which like that's awesome. And a lot faster for development for me right now, which is great. Really enjoying that. I'm actually very tempted to just do all my development this way. Like I do a bunch of other stuff. Like in this code base has gotten large enough now that my CPU just goes. Also, I have a laptop that's a little bit older now, and I probably has a bunch of dog hair in it, if I'm completely honest. And it's pretty cool. I wonder if IntelliJ is going to add something like the VS Code live sharing. Ooh, that's a really interesting one, FatKCA. So that's installed, which is cool. But you bring up something fun because I want to actually show you. There is a thing, IntelliJ. What is it? Live sharing. They have. Yeah. Where is it? No. Yeah. They brought out a thing. There's a bunch of different things. Code with me. There it is. JetBrains came up with a thing called Code with Me, that is an experimental feature that you can basically like get started as a host, and then you get your friend to download like this little light version of IntelliJ, and they can use it with you, which I thought was actually kind of cool. The only thing, see, one thing I don't like I love all this sort of like Code with Me type stuff. What I don't like about it is it forces the other party to use the tools you use and vice versa, which honestly is like less than I like. My IntelliJ is super hacked to like stuff that I like, and how like my keyboard shortcuts are like completely different from anything standard ever, because I don't know, that's just the way it's worked for me. I think it's screen.so. Yeah, this is the one. So I kind of like stuff like this. Screen is really interesting. It's multi-platform screen sharing, available for both Mac, Windows, and Linux, and you can do remote pair programming with it with multiple cursors and stuff too, and do like annotations and kind of stuff. I've played with it a little bit. I am not like affiliated with them whatsoever, but this, I actually like this. And then, you know, if that allows you to do like sort of screen sharing and drawing and highlighting and all this kind of stuff, which I think is just kind of better. So it's cool. Like I dig it. I just want to like, that's a thing. All right. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. But there's some cool stuff. Everyone's using the same tools. That's great. But I like some really good screen sharing tools. I'm really excited about screen.so. I'd like to use that a bit more and play with it a bit more. All right. So I installed that now. Let's just double check that went according to plan. Seems to have gone according to plan. CTL, get pods, namespace, kind of system. I expect the pods are all still working. Yep. All right, cool. Let's try it again. See what happens. All right. So spinning. Okay, didn't die straight away. Good first start. So really, this has just been a case of just kind of going through as much as possible and finding all the places that things could possibly go horribly wrong. And that's looking pretty good. All right, so that looks like that worked. Where did my mouse just go? There it is. Okay. Oh, my mouse has died, which is fun. Every so often, my connection to my Razer mouse just decides that it doesn't feel like playing. All right, there we go. All right, cool. All right, sweet. So we got some stuff working. How much time we got left? All right, let's do one more run through and we'll see how we go. So run fleet test. See what breaks. There's one test that's ignored. Which test is ignored? Oh, okay. So I've got a bunch of stuff. These are alpha tests, or like functions that are what's the word I'm looking for? Features that are feature flagged. So they're going to get ignored by default. We'll see how we go. Oh, and just so you're all aware, I'll let that run in the background. Because I've been doing all this kind of stuff. Here we go. Extend. One thing that, now, what is it called again? Bear with me. There is custom objects, pruning. I think I want to talk about pruning, full pruning. Yes. There is a way of turning this off. There we go. For migrating custom definitions where spec preserved unknown fields is set, pruning is not enabled, and you can store for best compatibility, you should update your custom resource and make an open API schema. And you should set preserve unknown fields to true for the custom resource definitions. Oh, I see. Okay. So you have this thing called preserve unknown fields, which you can set to true. For whatever reason, I actually thought I tried this and something weird happened, but I have a feeling it was something to do with me because I was maybe mixing. I'm willing to bet I know exactly why it was, actually. In fact, I'm fairly sure I know exactly why it was failing. I have a strong feeling I'd set this value inside here in this spec value for a game server, but it's not being included. It is a game server and it's probably a reserved word. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Entirely my fault. Could have found another way to do it. Probably something like what I've done here. But I just decided to go down this road instead of let's make all of these things happen and add them all in. because it's really like we've got pretty good testing. I'm pretty happy with it, and at some point we're going to have to flip anyway. So bite the bullet, I guess. What I will want to do is we usually release a release candidate about a week before we push out the stable version. So I'm going to make a big thing about like, hey, everyone who's using this, please test this during like the release candidate. We just instituted these new CRD policies. So we want to make sure that if we, if there's any validation issues or anything like that, we want to catch them early and fix them. Basically, yeah, if anything breaks now. So this is interesting. There's a couple of things that are running slow. It could just be that they're still running, which is fine. Or it could just be that they're actually broken. Don't know. Oh, no, that passed. Nice. They could just be running slow. They could just be taking a little while. So far, most stuff is passing, which makes me very happy. Makes me very happy indeed. Oh, nope, something failed. All right. That's okay, though. That's a pretty good flow through. I'm not genuinely not complaining about that. Let's jump to source on that one. Here we go. Something. Yeah, I have a strong feeling there's some values in here that have not been set properly and have not flowed through when we're setting up our specifications. But yeah, like this is just like rolling through it and getting through it all. Okay, I have 10 minutes till I need to run to something else, so I'm going to run off now. But thank you for hanging out with me. Hopefully you learned some interesting stuff. It's been fun. If you don't already follow me here on Twitch, please do. I'd like to get back to doing streaming semi-regularly. It's fun. I enjoy it. And, I have to write this code anyway, so you might as well come along for the ride. You can follow me on the Twitters at Neurotic. You can follow me on the YouTubes. I'll throw this up there at some point today as well. And you can see all my videos. And, I have a Drawing Badly series all about game backend infrastructure as well, if that's something that might be interesting for you as well. I think that's my usual spiel for all the things. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you coming and hanging out. Apparently my audio sync is slightly out. I am not sure what I can do about that, but but I appreciate you hanging out and having a good time. Hopefully that'll get resolved at some point. And yeah, I'll catch you all later. Thank you so much. I appreciate you spending time with me today.